Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of the newest show on the Nerdcore's podcast feed, Unstructured with YoungYoda. And yes, I will keep calling it the newest episode on the Nerdcore's podcast feed until Raul decides on another show. This week, I will be talking about one of my favorite groups to ever rock the YouTube, Sugar Pine 7. As fair warning, I generally write these up right before I record, so it will most likely be another shorty but goody episode. Anyways, this one is called Sugar Pine 7, These Go to 11. I guess if you don't know what I'm talking about, then maybe I should start off with who I'm talking about. The Who being Steven Suptic, Clayton Kibb James, and James DeAngelis, with Autumn Farrell, Vicky Pham, Mimi Torres, and famous actor James Allen McCune being a part of the lineup through 2017 to 2019. Also, Parker Coppins was there. The What I'm talking about is probably the funniest goddamn show on YouTube that we all had the pleasure to witness, or some of you missed out on, but guess what? The episodes are still up, so you still have a chance to watch them. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes of what was left of the Philip DeFranco-created SourceFed, Sugar Pine 7 was the mixture of vlogging, sketch comedy, and a coming-of-age story involving shit jokes and ass tattoos. However, what truly made the show great as it was, and this may sound as the most corniest shit, was heart. That, shit jokes, and ass tattoos. But for real, the whole damn show had heart, and that came from the friendship between each of its participants. Each season was an adventure in itself, the beginning showing how a person works to overcome one of the biggest blows in their life, losing a job, from basically out of nowhere, that they loved, and instead of falling back and looking for other avenues of work, creating their own path. The beginning seasons where Septic speaks on being an unemployed YouTuber, even going as far as having the viewers follow him to Blinky's Donuts, showing the destruction of SourceFed's set, and the coming together of the Dream Team, if Dream Team meant someone inept friends who aren't necessarily great at anything, other than being friends and being hilarious. In an article by Culture Shot on the dailycow.org, titles Why Sugar Pine 7 is the Pinnacle of YouTube Content Creation, Kyle Kizu explains why the show is as great as I say, stating, after you watch the one video, Sugar Pine 7 seems like a variation of the countless in the genre. A group of young guys, some of the now defunct SourceFed, with more of a comedic edge and some cool editing. That is until you watch another, and another, and another. It may take a few more after that. It may take some brief Googling. But once we understand what Sugar Pine 7 is really doing, it's clear that they're carving an entirely new and groundbreaking space in online video. Spoiler alert, it's all a bit. It's all improv. Called Alternative Lifestyle, their videos are not scripted, but the scenarios are often invented and planned, and if they're not, they're played up to be ridiculous. It's like The Office for the faux reality meets It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia for the offbeat comedy, but made by YouTubers. While not the first to do it, The Office revolutionized television by perfecting the mocking of the documentary style, hence mockumentary. Sugar Pine 7 is doing the same for online video, mocking the vlog, and subverting all expectations that come with it. Vlogging is meant to craft an intimacy with the audience and give a glimpse at some pure reality of the subjects on screen. In Casey Neistat's case, that reality is intensely curated and polished. But Sugar Pine 7 leverages those qualities to delve further into this idea of intimacy, often using what would be deemed inappropriate, too much or too far, if real, for comedy. And that is precisely where Sugar Pine 7 takes it up a notch. Fictional vlogging can only go so far, only do so much, and only be so sustainable. In fact, a purely mocking of vlogs threatens to separate the viewer from the content. So, I lied. Sugar Pine 7 actually does use moments, rather small moments at that, of reality within their content, as well as moments of fiction that make viewers distinctly aware of that fiction. All of this adds dimensions to the format, but also makes up for what the format threatens to lack, intimacy. Kizu hits the nail right on the head. Where other vloggers kept the audience at bay in some form, not disclosing the tough times or hardships they were facing, only looking in the camera and stating motivational quotes they didn't necessarily mean, or pulling gold digger pranks where the attractive blonde subjects were already paid before being told off by the douche in the Lambo. Sugar Pine 7 flipped the platform on its head, bringing their viewers with them when they were frustrated creatively, lost a member, and eventually right until the very end where Steve had to tell his best friends that they were ultimately out of a job as he himself had been struggling with, even not wanting to come into work for the past few months. And this is why Sugar Pine 7 ended up winning a Streamy for Show of the Year in 2017, and also being featured in Variety, of all things. Another article from StudyBreaks.com's Marissa Cortez from 2017, titles Why You Need to Be Watching Sugar Pine 7, goes on to explain the fascination with these pioneers of vlog, stating, Suptic and the Sugar Pine 7 crew have been praised by multiple prominent YouTubers for their innovative content, as well as the quality and quantity of videos released, a new video almost every day. Hank Green of Vlogbrothers fame included Suptic in a video about cool internet things he loved and wanted to recommend to others. So it only makes sense that when IGN, a channel dedicated primarily to gaming, blatantly ripped off Sugar Pine 7, people were upset. IGN's Rory Powers released a series of videos depicting his first time at E3, a video game conference with striking similarities of Sugar Pine 7 content. Individually, the components of Suptic's videos aren't particularly unique. Together, they form a distinct intellectual property recognizable to anyone familiar with the source material. Specific aspects such as the cadence of the narration, comedic bits, and character personalities were too on the nose to be written off as mere inspiration on Powers' behalf, especially considering that Powers followed Suptic on social media and was therefore well aware of Sugar Pine 7. Now, many people rise up and say Rooster Teeth is to blame for the demise of our beloved Chicken Boys programming, but I myself can't put the whole weight on Rooster Teeth. Do I think by pushing for daily episodes they eventually caused a massive burnout in all of the crew? Yes. Then again, Sugar Pine 7 may not have existed past 2018 if not for the intervention of Rooster Teeth. In one episode, Steven goes far as to say that he was finding it difficult to even pay his crew. So monetarily, Rooster Teeth was a good play. Creatively, however, I do think it drained the boys and Autumn to the point where they just became tired of making videos, and in some episodes it showed. Having to come up with different bits, especially when their leader was noticeably absent, ended up with them creating music videos, a genius official lyrics parody called Genies, and other bits that may have lost sight of why we all came to watch them in the first place. Even with the end to the show, as far as it sits now, I think Sugar Pine 7 will have an overall positive effect for those looking to carve out a career for themselves, be it in acting, writing, and editing. Younger generations who watch them will see that it's okay not to be afraid to tell the whole story. Not just the good days, but the bad, even if it's in a funny way, and even if it's improv. For us older generations, it was fun to see a group of friends go for it all, achieve greatness, and then walk off into the sunset before they became to resent or even hate one another. I would personally love to see new episodes from Steve, Kib, and James, but I won't hold my breath. Instead, I'll keep a close eye on their careers, continue listening to their podcast Beyond the Pine, which is being uploaded to their Sugar Pine 7 YouTube channel, and just be glad I was here to witness something that brought many people, including myself, joy. If you want to see some more of their content, you can go on YouTube and search Sugar Pine 7, and be sure to subscribe to them. Also, if you're into Twitch, they're on there as well. But if you're old school like me, follow them on their Twitters. Steve at Steven Suptic, StevenSuptic, Kib at NotKib, NOTCIB, James at James DeAngelis, JamesDeangeliz, and Autumn at _Roughhouse, RUFHAUS. Also, be sure to purchase some stuff at the Rooster Teeth store that they still have up. And I believe they get half the proceeds now. So go support our chicken boy and his whole crew. Now, on to the housekeeping. You can find me on Twitter at RandomGerm101, but I would much prefer you give a follow to at the _, which hosts this show and other great shows, such as the Ladies and Nerdcores and the Impaired Files. If you'd like to get this episode early, or even get some extra goodies, be sure to sign up on Patreon at www.patreon.com/thenerdcourse. With tiers starting as low as $1, you can help support the show and all the other shows and the upgrading equipment, and possibly even one day providing live commentary at conventions. Be sure to follow our executive producers, Grayson Barker, aka at Warlord Hitman 98 on Twitter. Thank you, Grayson. You've been the OG executive producer for a while now, and we still appreciate you and everything you do for us. Also, our homie Shane at twitch.tv/SRRKK, or follow him on his Twitter at SRRKKTwitch. If you'd like to hear more from me, you can find me on the Nerd Cores and the Gamer Cores as co-hosts throughout the week. Again, thank you all for listening. Have a great and safe night. To Steve, I hope you find your new beginnings in this ending. YoungYoda out.